All right, so we're back for another log dump. Had a couple of things thought I'd get to today, a couple of things to talk about. The first thing was just I was thinking about the previous dump that I did. The Should I Sell My Soul to Make a Blues Album, subtitled Son House versus Robert Johnson. And the thumbnail that I made for that one, sort of, me in the middle there with the angel and the devil on either side, Son House on one, Robert Johnson on the other. I didn't think about it at the time, but I wasn't trying to necessarily imply that Robert Johnson is evil, bad man, and Son House is this perfect, saintly God man, you know? Nothing, nothing quite like that. It was more just like the idea of, you've got the legend of Robert Johnson at the crossroads making the Faustian bargain with the devil. And on the other side, you've got, the singing preacher, Son House, you know, uh, known for being in the church and being a man of God. And you can make a couple of different comparisons between the two of them. Some differences and a couple of similarities as well. I didn't mean to also. I mean, it's just it's basically clickbait, but saying like, "Oh, you got bad Johnson, good old son," But you look at Johnson with his Crossroads deal, and the whole idea was that he was, a musician in his area, blues man, but he was actually known more for playing, blues harp, the harmonica, and I think there was another instrument too, but he was known to be good on the harmonica, and I think something else that's escaping me now. But he was thought to be like really bad on the guitar. And then after making that deal, after selling his soul, they say he disappeared for a while, or he was told by a fellow, musician that he should go to a specific crossroads and make that bargain there. But on the other hand, you've got Son House, who was known, to be a proficient musician by that point already. Uh, I mean, they were sort of contemporaries, with Johnson being the younger, sort of coming up, while Son House was, more well known and already performing uh, as a guitarist and blues singer, with more differences, being that Johnson from a young age he was infected with the blues. He wanted to perform. He wanted to be I mean, he wasn't just a blues performer. He was a jazz performer. He was a ragtime performer. He could do pop numbers. He could do dance songs. Like whatever the audience needed, he could provide it. But he had that in him from a young age, whereas Son House was more in the church. He would sing in the choir, but he didn't really have any interest in the guitar at first, in any kind of instrumental or secular music. That was the devil's music. Um, so that's another, difference between the two of them. Uh, Johnson having that yearning for that kind of music from the beginning, and Son House being more resistant to it at first, but coming around to it later and realizing, this there's something in here in this music that he can that he can draw out of it and give back to the people, as well as something as simple as Johnson being an educated city guy, could definitely read and write. That's well known. I don't know if it's well known, but that's established fact. Son House, I don't know if he could read or write. I'm sure he could. Being a preacher, he could probably, I'm sure he could read the Bible at the very least. But he was a rural guy, he worked on farms and things like that. So that's just another difference between the two. But you do also get similarities. I'm going to put the differences. I'm sure there's more differences that I just can't think of off the top of my head, but I'm going to put that aside for now. But I also want to point out that there are similarities between the two. Son House was not a saint by any means, and Robert Johnson was known to be a nice guy. I'm sure Son House was known to be a nice guy too. Johnson was known to be likable, maybe a little bit strange, but nice guy, friendly guy. But another similarity, which is maybe not so positive, between the two of them was the love of drink and philandering. One second. Where was I? Oh yes, they both had a taste for whiskey, and they were both not the most faithful, not the most. They weren't celibate men. Let's put it that way. Um, yeah, so they had that in common. Son House had actually been to jail. He'd been sent to a penitentiary, whereas I don't think Johnson ever had. So that's just a little bit of an irony, considering the way that I portrayed them in the thumbnail. So that's it for my thoughts on just what came to me thinking about that thumbnail, the difference, similarities between Johnson and House. The next thing to address would be some music, I think. I did recorded quite a lot of music that I should talk about in this one. What was first? So I have a basically whole song that I've recorded. That one I'll do last though, because I'm gonna have to change the position so I can get the mic and everything, and because it's got a little bit of vocals at the beginning. I'll perform a little piece of that. What else did I record though? I recorded a instrumental hip hop piece. So this is a track that I recorded. I did some drum programming, and then I sampled some classical guitar. I think it is the John Williams version of a Saw opus, Fernando Saw. I believe it's John Williams, but I'll play it through and see what I think about it. Not 100% happy with it. It's a bit rough, but we'll get there. Okay, so I mean that's basically two separate parts, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of aimless. At the beginning, there's a slightly more busy section. It sounds nice, but for some reason to me it just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. I don't know. Maybe that's in my head. And then the second piece kind of comes in maybe a little too subtle, where you can't tell that a new section has started. I don't think, right? So that's a more piece. It's a section that's got a little bit more space. It's a little bit more simple. So let's go from the second section on again. Okay, so there we've got section 2 into section 3. Now, you see, section 2 is very just simple strums. I think maybe the problem is that the drums don't change up, and this is like the entirety of the song, right? The drums just loop straight through. It's like a 8-bar loop, I think, maybe 16. I don't know if there's, I can't remember if I might put a variation in there, but it's essentially an 8-bar loop with different guitar parts coming in over it. Maybe that's why there's not enough differentiation. But what I do like is section 3. I think section 3 sounds pretty cool. And we'll listen to it again. But there's kind of like a lead in at the very end of section 2, which plays that like thing, like just sort of like as a, this is coming. And then that becomes the main theme of section 3. So I think section 3 gets like a nice rhythm to it. I really like those harmonics. That was the reason, I mean, hearing those harmonics and the way he played that, and that's the opening, part of the opening of the Saw opus. And that was actually what got me thinking that I want to sample this. So let's listen to section 3 again into section 4. Okay, so it's like a variation of section 2, more like, because it's the same kind of rhythm, but without the harmonics. It's not exactly the same, slightly different. But then we've got this very last section, which, let's just listen. Now, I don't know. Sure, let's copy and paste that over, and let's hear what it sounds like if it repeats. Maybe it's not that bad, but I feel like it really falls apart in this section. But let's listen to it one more time. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that section. Not the worst, but it kind of feels like there's just something wrong. I think the drums are pretty solid. I've just been using the same drum sound for everything that I'm making instead of, every time I need to record some music, scrambling and looking for drums. I've just put together a drum kit, and I'm going to use that for like 90% of everything that I do for maybe the next couple of months. Maybe until the end of the year. We'll see. The next year is a different drum sound. I'll see how I want to do it. But yeah, so that's Saw in E minor. I haven't figured out. I wanted to put bass in there to go along with that guitar, but it just sounded like garbage. So I'm gonna have to come back to that, both structurally and in terms of instrumentation. So that's one work in progress. Before I move on to the next piece, I just wanted to talk about another thought that I had regarding, these videos. So the thing in my mind is like, how much of a ripoff is what I'm doing right now? Basically just binged like Saw Hands for, geez, I don't know, like a month, maybe 2 months. Just binged his videos, and once I started watching practice logs, it kind of got me thinking, damn, I could do something kind of like this with my music, where, I mean, I'm not really talking about my practice as much, maybe because I don't practice as much, not being a professional musician. I did practice today, okay? Maybe like half an hour of just running through some scales. That was really all I did. Uh, Kind of made up a little like scale jam kind of thing that could maybe be used to, just warm up the scales a little bit here and there. Might do that in the future. But yeah, so is this a ripoff? Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, that's how genres work, isn't it? Certain styles of music, movies, painting, poetry, literature. There's an originator, and there are people who take inspiration from the originator. But you try to put your own twist on it. So I'm not a classical guitarist, by any means. I'm not a professional. Uh, so I don't have this repertoire that I'm building up for anything specific. I'm just working on putting out my material, and I'm just keeping track of it here. So, similar, but the same, but different, whatever. Yeah, and I think that's all right. I think it's okay to take inspiration and put your little, I don't know, little twist on it. It's not like I looked at it and thought, oh, it's time. I can make some money. I didn't think uh, I was gonna blow up off his coattails or anything like that. It's just it gave me an idea for something fun that I can do. It doesn't even matter that no one's like watching. It's cool. I enjoy keeping track of what I'm doing, and it's motivating me to be more productive. So it's worth it. But that said, let's show some evidence. Okay, so the next piece that I have, I don't know what kind of style this is exactly, like a rock song, I guess. Um, but it's got that same hip hop kit that I put together. So I'll just kind of show. I don't know how much of that I'm gonna show because I don't know, man. I really liked it when I listened back to it after recording it. Now bear in mind that was like, I think I stopped recording at like 2 or 3 a.m. this morning, so I might not have been in the best frame of mind to be judging it, because when I listened to it again on a fresher pair of ears, I don't know. I don't know if I'm happy with it, because last night I was bobbing my head. I was like, damn, listening to it over and over. Even just like listening to the intro, I was like, whew, whew, damn, that's a fire intro, boy. You're gonna go far with this one, you know, just some delusional shit. Um, and then I listened to it after I woke up again, and I was like, Jesus, that is rough. Um, Maybe the idea is there, and I just need to, fix up the execution, uh, re-record maybe the guitars and the vocals. I think the drums are probably all good. I recorded a rough track for the guitar, and that's pretty much what I have as the final track. And I laid the drums on it afterwards. So maybe now that the drums and the bass are there, I should redo the guitar so it can be more solid. Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the song with the rhythm guitar, the drums, and the bass playing from the track, and then I'll probably sing and do the lead guitar. If that doesn't work out, I'll just put the track in post, and I guess we'll talk about it afterwards. So I am going to move to where I can perform with the mic and try it out, and then we'll meet back here later. All right.
I said I don't wanna know what is to be seen, what is to be heard. I said I don't wanna know what is to be seen, what is to be heard. I said I don't wanna know what is to be seen, what is to be heard. I said I don't wanna know what is to be seen, what is to be heard.
All right. So yeah, that's the new song, The Hermit. Kind of slapped that together in a couple of hours in one night slash early morning. It's not as as bad or as good as I remember on the last couple of listens. Um, I think maybe I was a little too hard on myself. Maybe just the timing of the drums needs work here and there, maybe. But no, I don't think it's the drum. I'm pretty sure it's the guitar. I think I'm gonna redo those guitar parts and see if it sounds any better. I could, you know, uh, get the little tapping section a little bit more clear, I think, for one. Um, Guitar solo sounds pretty good, I think. Forgot about that. I kind of used both approaches for this guitar solo, with the first section being sort of like planned and doubled, and then the second section being two separate improvised solos placed over each other, and the last section again being like a more planned sort of section, or maybe not planned, but um, it was improvised and trimmed, whereas the middle section is just like an explosion of improv. So hopefully it works. I think it's a good track. I don't know why when I listened to it this morning I was like, this is because it's garbage, you know. I'm happier with it than I remember. It's definitely, I think, decently written. Um, just needs some work in the execution. I think the execution is really the issue. But if I practice it, I think I'll get it down. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, this is way too long. I've been recording for almost an hour now, so I think that'll be it for today. Until the next one, I guess.